everybody, it is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to another movie review over here on That's Comical. And of course, if you are watching this and it happens to be a Wednesday, happy new comic book day, and happy 2022 to all of you. I hope that your new year was wonderful, and I am really excited to see what this year is going to bring in terms of comics and manga and anime, and of course, all those amazing movies that come out in the world of comics, whether they are part of the DCEU, the MCU, or independence and everything in between. But we're also going to be getting a couple of interesting new things added to this channel. We are also going to be talking about some of the brand new live-action television series, because they are very much part of these movie universes, so they're not necessarily something that is really their own entity because they are linked to these specific stories, and you will understand that as we move along. So today, I think you all figured out what movie we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about one of the most anticipated films, not necessarily just as part of the MCU, but probably the most anticipated film of 2021, and the fact that we got to see it in theaters was the best thing ever to truly cap off a year with so much uncertainty. Now, before we get into the movie that we're going to be talking about, which is obviously Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm going to be giving you guys my rating right now, because I know that there are a lot of people out there that still have yet to see this movie, and because of the fact that it will not be streaming on Disney Plus because it is part of Sony and not necessarily part of Disney, it is still going to be a little bit tricky for everyone else out there who just is still not ready to go to the movie theaters. So, I am giving Spider-Man No Way Home 3.5 stars out of 4, so the rest of this review is going to be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, just turn the video off now. Even though I know it is so hard to avoid spoilers, there's no reason for you guys to be spoiled by me. Also, before I get into this, I just want to let people out there know that even though it is still a crazy time right now, I was fortunate to go and see this movie in theaters. I waited for the crowds to lighten up, and the movie theater that I went to had very strict policies. We all had to wear our masks in the theaters unless you were eating, so the fact that we also were fortunate enough to have real high quality masks, my wife and I, we had the KN95s, and in a movie theater that we went to go see this film in, a theater that was supposed to hold over 150 to 250 people, there must have been no more than 35 people in our theater because we waited 3 weeks to see Spider-Man No Way Home. So we were all spaced out. There was definitely 6 feet of distance between everybody unless you were with a party. And I will definitely say, even though it was a little bit annoying to have my mask on throughout the entire time, I'm still glad that I got the opportunity to see this movie in theaters and took all the necessary precautions. So, Spider-Man No Way Home, of course, stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jon Favreau, Marissa Tomei, and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. But, of course, the big thing that everyone was curious about was, when we first heard what was happening, what exactly was Spider-Man No Way Home going to be? There were leaks, there were rumors, there was high hopes, there was skepticism, and I'm just going to basically say this. Everything that you anticipated happening in this movie actually happened. So, Spider-Man No Way Home takes place right after the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, where J. Jonah Jameson reveals to New York, and not just New York, but the world, that Spider-Man killed Mysterio, and he is Peter Parker. So Peter Parker is now either being extremely supported or public enemy #1, to the point where he can't even get accepted to college because they just don't want a supposed criminal in their midst. And not just that, his friends Ned and MJ, because they are on his side and they assisted him, they couldn't get there either. So, Peter, being the character that he is, and this of course comes right from the comics, a very selfless and humble boy, decides to visit a friend of his who he helped save the world from Thanos with, and that of course was Doctor Strange. So he goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he asks Doctor Strange, could you conjure a spell that will have people forget that he is Spider-Man? But also, what we need to know about Peter Parker, even when he has the mask on. He is far from perfect, and that is what really makes him one of the most popular characters in comic book history. So of course he throws in all of these little things for specifics, and he throws Doctor Strange off, and then all of a sudden, people start showing up that Spider-Man has never seen before, but they all seem to know who Spider-Man is. And that is where the fandom just runs wild, because we got Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe, Thomas Hayden Church, Rhys Ifans, and Jamie Foxx all returning to play the characters that they portrayed in the past two Spider-Man franchises. So we got the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard. It was just so crazy to see all of these characters showing up, and Spider-Man discovers that each and every one of these supposed Spider-Man villains all die fighting Spider-Man in their world. And he doesn't want that to happen because he believes that they can redeem themselves. But the truth of the matter is, will a villain ever truly go back to the way things were? And of course, things get completely out of hand to the point where other assistance is needed for Spider-Man. So we get two more Spider-Men. We get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back to portray themselves as the Spider-Man that they portrayed. And just seeing all three of these Spider-Men together in a movie fighting the forces of evil and harping back to other Spider-Man films was absolutely wonderful. If there is one thing that I could say that Spider-Man No Way Home did perfectly, it was the fact that they showed us, but then again, we saw this in all the other MCU films before them, that we can stick a whole bunch of characters into a film and still manage to find a good place for each and every one of them, make them all significantly relevant in each film, and more importantly, not lose the audience and not lose the plot. This movie was done absolutely perfectly. Everyone played their roles well. The acting was absolutely incredible. There are some people that are even thinking that Willem Dafoe should get nominated for an Academy Award for his performance as Green Goblin once again, and I don't think that will ever happen, but in a world where comic book films are truly taken seriously, that is definitely something that could have eventually happened. But it was just incredible to see a wonderful, complex story told in 2.5 hours well. That's all that I'm going to say. It was done well. It was just so great to also get all of these nods to the original Spider-Man films, as well as the Amazing Spider-Man films, to actually see Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man films become relevant again, and even have Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire sort of do a meta moment saying, you are amazing, you are relevant, you matter. That was wonderful, because I truly did have a good time with the Amazing Spider-Man films, and I did think that Andrew Garfield did get a little shafted and not seeing his franchise get extended. But is this movie the perfect film? No, there are definitely some things that I personally would have loved to have seen, and I think that's the one negative that I have with this film. I just wish that there could have been more, because one of the few things that I really thought we were getting in this film was we were finally going to get Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six. And no, we did not. We were close, but we didn't get it. I mean, would it have been cool to see Michael Keaton? Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. But now that we're seeing these Morbius trailers and Michael Keaton showing up there, I'm pretty sure he is going to be playing his character from Spider-Man Homecoming, the Vulture, so I don't know how this is going to get tied into it. There's also a pretty interesting post-credits scene that now makes me have to go and see the two Venom movies, which I did not see. So it's actually very interesting that this one film has now basically told you, if you want, you can see the Tobey Maguire trilogy, you can see the Andrew Garfield duology, you can see the two Venom movies that have been made, and it's all just going to come together beautifully in this one Spider-Man film. So I think that that is a wonderful thing that Sony and Disney did, and also, this is something that I've been saying as a fan. When movie companies actually share their properties, magic is made. And Spider-Man No Way Home is a true example of magic actually happening right before our eyes. Even though this movie is just a little over 2.5 hours long, this movie is just going to fly by. It is just so intense, you're so into this story, and it literally is just non-stop Spider-Man fun. This is definitely going to be a movie that I am going to be proud to own, and it is definitely a movie that I am going to see countless times, but I am definitely going to say, I now think that I need to complete my total Spider-Man collection, because I still do not have the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3, as horrible as it is. Now that we saw Sandman's role in this film, I kind of feel that it's relevant to actually have in my collection. And the same goes with the 2 Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films, and it also includes me finally seeing Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage. It's kind of crazy, and this actually makes me quite excited to see Morbius and see how he is going to be playing his role in this ever-growing Spider-Man world. The question really is, what is in store for Spider-Man next? Because this is not the last time that we're going to be seeing Spider-Man, especially Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Apparently, Sony has signed him on for 3 more films. There is rumors that they want Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to return more often in the Spider-Man franchise. What is going to happen with the characters? Because that ending really did question a lot of things and made us hopeful for the future of this franchise. I personally think that my favorite part of that ending was just seeing Peter sew his own Spider-Man suit, and it's the classic red and blue Spider-Man outfit with no gadgets or gizmos that Tony Stark gave to him in Captain America Civil War. I really love the fact that we now have Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, looking like the classic Spider-Man that we all got originally in film with Tobey Maguire back in 2002. It is crazy to believe that this character has been in big screen format for so many years and has just touched so many lives in positive ways. I am just really excited for what is in store with Spider-Man and the MCU and Sony Pictures. So I really hope that you appreciated this review. Please leave your comments in the box below. I would love to discuss Spider-Man No Way Home with you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.